Welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal channel. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. We have a massive update from David Ornstein regarding a new defender at Arsenal. But also Fabrizio Romano has said that Sporting are now aware Viktor Gyokerez is leaving this summer. He has communicated the decision to them and his destination has already been decided. We're talking about Anthony Gordon linked with Arsenal once again. We'll be talking about Al Nassr and Al Ittihad. They have offered 400k per week to Gabriel Magalhães, and they're prepared to pay about 100 million euros for the player this summer. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. There's lots of talk on transfers, but when it comes to Arsenal selling our best player this summer, I'm a little bit unhappy with that. But let me know what you think about Arsenal signing another defender. And again, this story comes in at a time where Arsenal are looking to sign a defender for 50 million. Could Arsenal really be preparing to lose one of our best defenders this summer? We'll talk about that. But let's start off with a big update from Fabrizio Romano. He says that Viktor Gyokerez and his camp have communicated their decision to Sporting Lisbon that they will not be staying beyond this summer. There is a gentleman's agreement between Sporting and Viktor Gyokerez and his camp that he can be sold this summer for 60 to 75 million euros should a club come in very much interested and willing to meet the asking price. Arsenal have talked to Sporting. Arsenal have been there. They are willing to meet that asking price. And the players' camp have told Sporting, listen, it is time for us to move on. We have served you for 2 good years, scored for you about 90 goals in all competitions. It's time for us to take the big step. Now, Fabrizio says that there are a couple of clubs interested, but Viktor Gyokerez is leaning towards joining Arsenal. Manchester United are there. They are very much interested in the player. They would love to get him this summer, but he's leaning towards signing for Arsenal. Arsenal have offered him a major deal, like 200k per week for 5 years. That is a lot of money. That is 5 times the amount he's earning at Sporting CP right about now. So it's developing very quickly. It's a story that I think, for me, is going to happen. Sporting are saying they want this deal to happen in July. And the reason as to why they're saying they want it to happen in July is simple. They want the money they will get from Viktor Gyokerez to be registered in the new financial year. Not in the old financial year, but in the new financial year. So there is something going on right about that. So I would say about this, what I would say about this story is that I think Fabrizio, when he talks about something, it's really happening. This story was broken by David Ornstein on The Athletic. And ever since then, we have been getting multiple updates on the deal, but also multiple updates on other deals from The Athletic, from Fabrizio. And these are the most credible sources in world football, especially when it comes to transfers. Fabrizio, David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, and a couple of others. At TalkSport, of course, you have Alex Cook and a couple of others. So when Fabrizio says that this is developing, and Arsenal are now getting closer and closer to the Viktor Gyokerez agreement, I actually believe him. I mean, if you offer a player 200,000 a week, he's earning 46k, you offer him a chance to play in the UEFA Champions League, we don't know, he could be playing, he could be signing for the UEFA Champions League champions. He could be, he might be signing for the best team in Europe in the summer. If Arsenal win the Champions League, it's even better, right? So we don't know, but the player is convinced about the project. He's told Sporting CP, listen, I'm gonna go. And it's now becoming evidently clear to all these other clubs that he has chosen Arsenal over them. And to be honest, Manchester United, I don't think United are as attractive as Arsenal. I don't think that they've got a project that is good as ours. Especially after Arsenal beating Madrid. If we take Madrid out of this year's UCL, players are going to look at us differently. Players are going to look at Arsenal as a very interesting project. But apart from Manchester United, Tottenham are there. I don't think Tottenham are our level. I don't think Tottenham are Arsenal's caliber. We don't want a player and Tottenham take him. I mean, unless that player is a Tottenham fan. But apart from that, I don't see Arsenal competing with Tottenham for a player and and then we lose. First and foremost, we are offering more wages than Tottenham are willing to offer. Second of all, we have UEFA Champions League football they don't have, right? We have a chance to win the Premier League next season, and in the next 5 years, we have a solid chance to win the Premier League. They don't even stand that chance. So I think it just makes sense that Gyökeres is choosing and leaning towards Arsenal. Now, there is talk about Chelsea, there is talk about a few other clubs like Juventus. Juventus are not as threatening and as good as they used to be. So, yes, you could be afraid of them. I'm really terrified of Juve, but this summer, not really. Chelsea have the money, and they have a good manager in Enzo Maresca, and they have a good project. The problem with Chelsea is that their project is so undefined. That is what I want to say. The goals and objectives of their project are very undefined. They're not clearly defined. The way you look at Arsenal, you're like, this project wants to win the Premier League, they want to win the UCL, and they want to make it a norm and custom to qualify for the Champions League every single campaign, at least automatically. Top 3 positions, Arsenal are always going to be there every single campaign. So our project has well-defined objectives and goals, and I think we have a more ambitious project for the next 5 years than Chelsea. And if you're Gyökeres, where do you want to be? You want to be with a club that is ambitious. You want to be with a club that is willing to give you some silverware, right? And that's why players in their prime, Kaká, Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, they've always been going to Real Madrid, because with Madrid, you're sure there is Champions League football every single season. There is Champions League trophies almost every single season guaranteed. And then there is the La Liga guaranteed. If Barca don't win it, you're going to win it. You know, occasionally maybe ATM will win it, but that is just occasionally. So I think Arsenal is the right ground for Gyökeres, and I'm not surprised that he's siding and leaning towards joining us than any other club. However, there is a story that is exciting, but also worrying to me, and this comes in from David Onstein. I hope you've seen it. Arsenal are in contact, are one of the clubs in contact with Bournemouth S, one of the best defenders in the Premier League right now, Dean Huijsen. The Spanish international is wanted by Real Madrid, wanted by Manchester United, wanted by Manchester City, wanted by Bayern Munich, wanted by Liverpool, and Arsenal are there. Like, I have seen a young defender attract interest. William Saliba did attract interest a lot. Virgil van Dijk attracted interest a lot. But Dean Huijsen is having a lot of interest in him. And I think that shaky the mango tree Madrid backline needs a player as young, as talented, as interesting as Dean Huijsen. And then you think about Bayern, they need someone as well. Arsenal, we don't need a centre back. Does this actually point to the fact that Arsenal could lose one of our really good centre backs this season? Because if it's not for that, why are we looking at a 50 million pound centre back? His release clause is 50 million. And I'm telling you this, the clubs that are interested, he's going to cost more than 60 million. He's going to cost more than 60 million pounds. I won't be surprised if Manchester City agree a deal for Dean Huijsen for around 70 million. I won't be surprised. Madrid can do it too. And Madrid, if they drop out of the UEFA Champions League, they are going to be crazy about reinforcement. So let me know what you think about this boy. Dean Huijsen at Bournemouth. He can play at right back. He can play at left back. But he's playing at centre back as well a lot of the time. And he's one of those players that are contributing to the success and the entertainment we are getting from Bournemouth. Yes, it worries me because last summer, Arsenal added a defender in Ricardo Calafiori. Now, Ricardo Calafiori has not stepped up to the levels that we would have wanted to, right? But his performances don't guarantee us going out there to sign a 50 million pound centre back. And for us to sign a 50 million pound centre back, there is a high chance he's going to have, a big part to play, in terms of the starting 11. Now, we have Ben White at 50 million. This season he's been injured. He hasn't started a lot. You have Lewis Kelly as well. It just puzzles me. I don't understand why we would go in for a 50 million pound centre back. Unless, right? Because they're saying that Arsenal are willing to lose Zinchenko, they're willing to lose Kivior, and they're willing to lose Kirentsiani. So, is Dean Huijsen coming in for 50 million to replace Kivior and Zinchenko and Kirentsiani? Not really. I mean, all these players are just having backup roles at Arsenal, and that backup role can be done by a player like Ricardo Calafiori. So I think like either Arsenal are just interested in adding a very good player, investing in a very good player in Dean Houston, 50 million. He's just 19. He's having a wonderful season. Or we might be looking at reality, and reality could be that Arsenal might be trying to prepare if we lose Gabriel, because we're going to talk about that story about Al Nassr and Al Ittihad preparing about 400k per week for Gabriel. What if we lose him? Maybe that's what Arsenal are looking at. But the story that makes more sense, because two of these ones are at Bournemouth. Dean Houston, 19, Spanish player, Spanish defender at Bournemouth, and also Milos Gyökeres is at Bournemouth. Well, Gyökeres is coming from the same country as Dominic Szoboszlai, and I've just forgot Hungary. Yeah, Hungary. That's the nation. So Milos Gyökeres would cost around 40 million euros. Liverpool are all over this deal, but it makes more sense for Arsenal to be linked with Milos Gyökeres. One, at left back, we're losing two players, and Milos Gyökeres is like a typical left back. So if you told me, you know, Gyökeres is coming in because Zinchenko is leaving, Kivio is leaving, and Kieran is leaving, those are three left backs going, and Ricardo Calafiori can then tack into centre back, be the backup to Gabriel, and then Gyökeres can take on that left back role together with Lewis Kelly. That makes more sense. But Dean Houston for 50 million pounds, it worries me. It excites me that Arsenal are looking at, you know, a wonderful talent like Houston, but it worries me. Are we preparing for a massive departure? We'll talk about that if we get more information. Now, Al Nassr and Al Ittihad are both willing to offer Gabriel Magalhães £400,000 per week. That is 20 million per year. That is 160,000 per month. That is interesting, right? That is interesting. Actually, 1.6 million. 1.6 million per month. That is interesting. We know Brazilians, right? At times, they've got their loyalties set, but the money is always going to move them. So, Gabriel Magalhães, we had a rumor that he was about to leave Arsenal at some point. And there was a lot of sheer force, and remember that season, Mikel started him on the bench. Could it come back? Right? He's had a sensational year. He's had a sensational campaign. Arsenal want to give him a new deal. But this is what worries me. We have two world-class centre-backs right now. Gabriel and Saliba. Why aren't other clubs looking at... Why isn't Saudi Arabia looking at Saliba? They're just looking at Gabriel. It means that there is encouragement, maybe from the players' camp, right? But 400k per week. This is a lot of money, guys. This is a lot of money. 400k per week, that is more than any player earns at Arsenal right now. Like, if we gave him 400k per week, he's the most paid player at Arsenal. And of course, this comes at a bad time. Al Nassr and Al Ittihad know that he's got 2 years left on his deal, and they also know that this player wants a new deal. So if Arsenal offering him something like 200k versus the 400k they're offering him in Saudi Arabia, is he going to choose Arsenal over 400k? I don't know, but this is going to make negotiations difficult, first and foremost. And secondly, even if it doesn't make negotiations difficult, at some point in time, they're going to get his attention. They're really going to get his attention. Maybe that's why Arsenal are looking at Dean Houston. Maybe that if we don't get to stay with Gabriel, maybe we can get Dean Houston. And it would be a good deal. You sell Gabriel for 100 million and you sign Dean Houston for 50 million profit. It makes a little bit of sense. It really does make a lot of sense. Anyway, we are linked with Anthony Gordon. And this is not the first time that we are linked with Gordon. But this summer, this is the first time. When it comes to Anthony Gordon, last summer, he was about to leave Newcastle. Liverpool were shaking the mango tree, and they were about to get some fruits down in their basket. But for some reason, he stayed. What I want to say about Gordon is, for 75 million, could Newcastle listen? I mean, yes, they don't want to sell their best players. Maybe it's not for sale. But think about this. If you're Newcastle, you have Isak, you have Gyökeres, you have Gordon. And so many clubs are willing to offer 75 plus for any of those players. Who do you sell? It's Anthony Gordon. If I compare him to Nico Williams, the one that Mikel loves very much, I think they're almost at the same level. I think Gordon, for me, would be a much better player, especially him being Premier League proven. So, I'm not going to dig into here, but 75 million, would Arsenal have the budget to sign Zubimendi, Gyökeres, and Gordon? I think Nico Williams is still a better deal. For 45 million, he's still a much better deal. But we wait to see. Hit the like button and we'll speak again later.